Good evening, everybody. Imagine a rainy, dark winter night in Rio de Janeiro, in a favela, in a slum. And imagine that there are 10, 15 boys between 15 and 18 years old, wearing Kalashnikovs and other guns in their belt from the swim trousers, coming to a rocky, stony football pitch. It's not even a football pitch. There is one light from a flat from above, giving the light on this football pitch. And there are 15 other boys who are non-drug soldiers. These other 15 with the guns are the drug soldiers. And I'm there reporting about football in the favela, what football can do. And then these guys, especially one of the drug soldiers, asked me, because I'm quite tall and quite European, of course, compared to them. And they asked me, do you want to be the referee? I said, okay, I want to be the referee. So there I was, as a reporter from the Netherlands, refereeing a match between the soldiers, drug soldiers, and the non-drug soldiers. But it gave me a very good feeling, because I knew, because of the football, there was no drug dealing at that moment. There was no killing at that moment. Because it's a big war in the favelas of Rio de Janeiro, even with the Olympic Games coming up. And I felt, look what football can do. And I know what football can do in Brazil, because when the Seleção is playing, there's hardly any murdering all over the country. And all the bad guys, the drug soldiers and all the good people, they'll watch the football. And you have to imagine what football can do in a favela when the big drugs bosses with all the money have the big satellite discs up on their roof and big television screen, because they have a lot of money. And they watch the big leagues in Europe. They watch Barcelona, AC Milan, Chelsea, Liverpool from the British League. So that gave me already years ago a big perspective about what football can do. How football can bring peace in a way. How football can bring people together. And that's why I started to report about football in social projects in war zones. And it becomes more and more. I was in South Africa during the World Cup, looking also at the other side of only the matches. You know, Africa is taking up in that part. Asia is coming up, Australia, South America, and of course Europe. The importance of football was also symbolized in a tragic way last week with the death of Johan Cruyff. Maybe all of you know him. He was a legend. He was my youth idol. And I was touched, all my colleagues were touched. I was racing to Hilversum, to the studio, to help with the show, because I experienced a lot of working with Johan in Barcelona when I was commentating a lot of Barcelona matches when he was a coach. Come in, please. Enjoy this HagueTalks. And it again emphasized to me the importance of football, but it also emphasized to me how stories, how people can really touch the heart. And that's, of course, in journalism very important. And for me, it showed again what the value of news is. We all know that news is basically, if you put it roughly in a dark way, is the amount of casualties divided by distance. What happened in Brussels touches us. It touches us more when something happens in Iraq, Iran, we all know, even what happens in Syria. But you have to understand, in that sense, was also a comparison last week about what happened here in The Hague with Karadzic. No interest at all, overwhelmed by the death of Johan Cruyff. Why? Because it's old news. It's a story from what I thought it was already finished. You know, and we were not really touched. So it again emphasized to me that, you know, you really need to focus on trying to touch the people in your reporting. For me, it's different when I'm commentating a match. I try, but I depend on the match. But for me also, I've learned over the years that the way to get a story into a show or online, or to get it really to attention, is link it up to a huge event. So when I'm in South Africa during the World Cup, I try to get with all the stories from social projects. I'll show you later on a story in Syria that was linked to the World Cup 2014 in Brazil. I will go to Roland Garros, the tennis tournament, a rich tournament, but maybe this year I will try to look in the banlieues. What's happening there? Are there tennis projects for the youth in all the other cities in France? Wonderful opportunity. The European Championships are coming up in France. Beautiful opportunity to show projects that bring peace also in their difficult situation regarding terrorism in France and Brussels. For me, it's an illusion to change the mindset in international journalism, in national journalism, because it's all negative in a way. When I report on a football match and a goalkeeper makes a mistake, I know for sure that I will get a WhatsApp, you need to interview the goalkeeper because he made a mistake. That sometimes doesn't give me a good feeling. I rather like to interview the goal scorer who makes a good goal, but that's just an example about how journalism works. So my focus is try to do what I can do. Try to come up with something that I'm passionate about, because then it doesn't work. And then you have to look for the people inside the projects where you can work with. So there is responsibility to the NGOs as well to come up with public relations from the inside, from people who are really in the project, from Syrians themselves who are in projects in Syria. They know about the project, they can do the public relations towards the networks. We have to listen, you even have to listen to the youth, how they look at online stories. The online stories are getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Online is getting more and more important. You know, like the national stations in Germany, Spain, Sweden, England, BBC, even the Netherlands. We are losing money towards the entertainment sports channels. Sky Sports, here in the Netherlands, Fox Sports. They're not interested in the social part. They're interested in entertainment. So the old-fashioned stations need to open up. But it starts with yourself. It starts with your own ambition. And it starts to link it up to big events. You know, I would like to finish my talk for the HagueTalks by saying that the chakra, there's a chakra, love, fear and hatred. That's in one chakra. Hatred doesn't go along with fear. Fear doesn't go along with love. Love doesn't go along with hatred. So my objective in life is to be critical in journalism, in the work that I do, but try to bring in more recognition, to bring in more love, to try to get that space into the hatred. That's the thing I really like to do in journalism. In a critical way, but certainly in a positive way, in a peaceful way in the war zones. Because that really touches the viewers, that really touches the listeners and the readers. And this is what I tried in my story in Jordan, in Zataari, the refugee camp close to the Syrian border, where about nowadays 80,000 people live. And I tried to look for a story by a project run by UEFA, because I happened to be quite often in Jordan a while ago. And I found, I think, a good story linked to a big event coming up, and that was the World Cup 2014 in Brazil. And I'd like you to show that item now, that was shown in May 2014, 2 months before the World Cup on Dutch TV.
This is Zataari. 80,000 people, mainly Syrians, live in this refugee camp. 12 kilometers north is the border between Syria and Jordan. And on this sandy, rocky football pitch are Syrians being trained by a special program of UEFA to become football coach. One of them is Abd Halim.
I like football from I was a child. And now I have a lot of time, big time, and it returned to my child to do part of my dream as to be a big football player or famous football player. And now I want to be a coach, maybe famous coach, or I have a team play with the World Cup or play in
That's a big dream.
Yes.
There is a group of 40 men from Syria who are in an education program to become football coach. The policy of the United Nations is there needs to be an internal football competition between the districts of the camp, and the coaches play an important role in this.
Things are developing fast. The project started as us UEFA coaching the coaches how to train kids the proper way, what they should focus on, at what age, and what's important at this age criteria, basically. What we're trying to do is get their mindset away from what's actually happening. And through football, I think that's a great approach to do it.
I saw things you can't see it in the movies or in the dream. You see plan throw the bombs, and you see the killing in everywhere, and see shouting, and see elite kill in every direction kill and died.
Everybody has his own often terrible story. These girls are also separated from their relatives in Syria, and football is their escape from tragedy. A lot of things have been taken care of in the camp, but sports helps the people to rediscover their dignity.
Sports is of course a very important aspect in getting away from that unhealthy competition a war is all about. A war is about losers and winners, but unfortunately you kill, you torture, you rape each other, and that is not what, of course, children particularly should learn in their lives. So we're trying to bring back a sense of healthy competition, accepting that there is a winner, there is a loser, that you can do it yourself as well, that you don't wait for the external, the humanitarian organizations, the world to do it all for you. Rebuilding Syria will be very challenging one day, and it will be very challenging because people will have to work together. They don't believe that togetherness works. And so that's what we're trying to do on our little level here, trying to make sure that it's not the bad boys, the people who try to get advantage of so many people living on little space, 530 hectares together, take the advantage. That if you have positive initiative, you're rewarded. Yes, the world continues to function while there is a war only 12 kilometers on that side going on in the north of this camp. There is a war ongoing, but the world continues. And it's very important to create that other perspective to the people living here. And so we hope that the World Cup will be one of these moments where they realize, well, there is not only the war, there are other things happening.
When the World Cup starts, all these people like football.
Yeah.
We will hear the voice when they crowd the matches, and we will know the famous place to see the matches. And when the match between good two teams, you will hear all voices. Goal, shoot, yes.
حكي بحكي هذول بايش الثلاثة.
We have gone a long way, so we hope that in a few weeks from now we will have a real healthy interest for it. We will have the young men and women, because also many of the girls are now playing football here, will ask and to see the matches and will understand competition can be a peaceful competition.
I hope we love football, solve the problem in Syria.
Yeah.
But it's I think very, very far.